So, this is why you always place an incomplete sentence or idea in the Twitter sphere, and you always place a link for them to click and close the loop. But it really doesn't stop there. You also have to be congruent. You want to connect the appropriate topic to the appropriate pain. You don't want to just use weird and incomplete gimmicks, like the word weird. Weird is a great word by itself. Like you could literally, on the Twitter space, I've tested stuff like this, you could just type the word weird and with an exclamation mark and a link and people click on it. Like I actually have increased click-through rates. But if those people are from a market that don't know who I am and they don't know what and they're not congruent with anything that I'm about, they might just get mad. If I click on weird, they could say like YouTubers, there's 6 minutes I want back, stupid video dude, all the haters, right? It usually comes from some kind of incongruent thing. People get mad on it. I have a theory I really believe is accurate. The reason there's so many YouTube comment spammers and people using foul language and words is that they're completely distracted by all kinds of weird and cool and interesting stuff that absolutely goes nowhere. And at a certain point, there's a part of them that just get really fed up. They got nothing better than to do to interact and talk crap about everything because they're lost. So this is true in every context, online or offline environment. You must complete the loop, give them something to complete, but make it congruent with what it is that they're looking for. CPAs, banners, pay-per-click, Facebook, G+, solo ads, World of Warcraft. Matt and I have a video that's kind of rated PG-13 we can't show here, but World of Warcraft is one of the most addictive environments on Earth. There's something like 1 trillion hours of log time in there, which is like more than any like behavioral context in the history of man in World of Warcraft. If we took that energy and we put it towards actually like trying to save the world, like it'd already be saved like 5 times over. That's how addicted World of Warcraft is. If people actually applied that to actually something. Lotto, pornography, hypofrontality, dopamine, same thing. Same principles being used. People who have serious addictions, like Dr. Barry Burns and other mentors of mine, they treat this type of addiction on a regular basis. I didn't put on here, besides pornography, hoarders, home shopping network, people who continue to purchase. They don't want the stuff. They want the experience of purchasing the stuff. Interesting but incomplete. It's called hypofrontality. Neuromarketers, quick lesson, okay. The most popular television show in the history of the world dragged viewers through, not the history of the world, but the history of the last 4 years anyways in America. Dragged viewers through 6 grueling seasons by opening more loops than it closed. Producer J.J. Abrams told a TED audience that he uses the open loop method taught to him by his magician grandfather. Here's from the magician grandfather's box that he gave him when he was a child, before J.J. Abrams was famous and rich, by using the methods that I'm teaching you today. On stage at TED, he claimed to have opened a magic box. He claimed never to have opened a magic box given to him by his grandfather. This is incorrect. Need to add never. Everybody watching his brilliant talk at TED kept expecting him to open this box for the first time. We thought we were going to be the privileged ones. We all waited in anticipation. Very few people took their eyes off the box. In fact, I noticed painfully through his entire talk that I was quite distracted by this box sitting on the stage unopened. And then at the end of the TED Talk, he walked away with the box in his hands. No such luck. He made one of the most profound points ever. Okay, we just paused there because we wanted you to watch the J.J. Abrams video. We've included the video for you to watch. It's brilliant. I'm a fan of JJ's stuff. He writes a lot of crazy stuff, including the television show called Fringe, and several other kind of weird. Weird is his specialty. And those are folks who capitalize on novelty. And in closing on neuromarketing, just know that novelty, that's the part of the brain that's constantly looking for something new, trying to acquire new ideas, have new experiences. This is why we're always selling experiences, not facts. Okay, the brain looks for new and weird things. We like it. It makes us relax. That's what the definition of entertainment is: new and weird. Okay, unusual, fun. All right. So every level of the PLM stackable pyramid integrates the open loop seduction method, all form of seduction. is open loop. If you look at the mating processes of human beings, I've studied anthropology, I've studied with some of the more interesting anthropologists in the world, including Helen Fisher, who started the second largest dating site in the world, of course. Anthropologists, once they figure out what's going on, they should be able to make money on a dating site, right? Open loop. Woman's the open loop, the man closes it. Sales. They always want closers. Close the loop. I mean, every metaphor that you'll see of anything that really matters to human interaction, transactional interaction, you can use the metaphor open, close, binary. And at the end of the day, if we don't close, we're broke. If you don't close, you don't have a mate. If you don't close, you don't have a good storyline. And it's interesting because creating great scripts, great writing, you have a lot of open loops, but you got to close enough of them. In Lost, J.J. Abraham used fan feedback to determine, oh my gosh, I've left way too many loops open, they're starting to get pissed. I better give him some breadcrumbs here. Then he would resolve some, it's called a conclusion. He would conclude some of the open loops in the storyline. When are you going to tell us how the polar bears got on the island? He never did, by the way, really. So, in fact, I'm still mad. I'm still pissed by several of the open loops that he never closed. This is how important, and they never will be closed. This is how important it is to the brain. The fact that I remember those, that's how it affects memory. Okay, so, expert consulting model. We're going to go to interesting.incomplete.com. Matt, after we finish this thing, we're going to go browse there, okay? Is there anything past this?
Do you want to finish slide?
One more slide?
Yeah.
That's the last one?
That's it.
Okay, so can we please go to interesting.incomplete.com? This is a site that I would like you to refer to if you ever get stuck. You're dealing with clients. As if things weren't complicated enough with the open loop. Yeah, you're about to throw another wrench into it. Not a wrench. This is a place that I would like you to go to relax, believe it or not. So that you can, if you're a little bit stuck about all the things that we've talked about. This is a place to remember that although everything that I've said is true about a headline, an article, a painkiller, where you place the headline matters. Who your audience is. So we're going to talk about interesting but incomplete. First, we're going to scan this whole document since we don't have a lot of space. The expert consulting model I consider at the top of this chart. And if you go to the bottom of the chart, we're dealing with the online monetization model. Okay? And most people who are going broke quickly online don't understand the difference between these two. Okay, so we're going to start at the top. In the middle, there's interesting but incomplete, I call triple I. We're talking about content. There's intriguing content. That's more gimmicky. Weird method of pulling in leads day after day. Facebook. Informative. Useful facts. Okay, just think about each one as a headline. Weird guy jumps from cliff. Links to a day job killer on a video on your Facebook page, right? Yeah, I get tons of traffic every day on stuff like that, right? On my tests. Informative is 3 little known tips on how to save on your taxes. That's a headline, but it's informative. Intriguing is different than that, isn't it? It's still a headline. They can all. Insightful is more of my expert opinion, unexpected, a consulting fact, or expert advice. You can do them in headlines, but you almost always want to brand with insightful headlines. 24-year online marketing veteran spills guts about SEO changes. That's an expert headline. And the difference where most people are confused, and you might be as well, is where you drive each one of those different kinds of traffic to. Okay? Incomplete environment for intriguing is headlines for social status updates, headlines for blogs, headlines for press releases, headlines for sales letters, headlines for emails. Incomplete can be any one of these, okay? You can jump to any one of these, okay? But generally speaking, intrigue has to do with interesting, interruptive, distinct, or click addictive. Novelty is another one you'd be on there. Informative is useful facts, useful statistics, useful percentages, useful data. So if you have a list in Twitter, go back to Twitter. If you have a list on Twitter that's all a bunch of really intelligent SEOs that have come and they've followed you at your conference because put your Twitter account up on the screen, and they know who you are and you're personally branded, when you throw a percentage up there, they're going to click like Dan Zartella, the Twitter expert who's doing statistics. 25% of female Twitter addicts like ... I mean, you're going to click. If I know who he is, I'm going to look at the statistics. So he always has good data. Not necessarily that accurate in some cases, but
It's not like Evanish.
right. That's informative, but it's going to be informative and insightful. You can be on more. But what you want to do is the incomplete content. The expert always tends towards the most difficult strategy, which is incomplete content. The headline by its own nature is incomplete. Once you get them to where you're taking on the landing page, here's the mistake that non-experts make. They don't drive people to an incomplete location where something is incomplete. You want to know why? Are we doing okay, Matt?
Yeah, all good.
You want to know why? It's harder work. You get tired. It's easier to take an intriguing headline and send them to somebody else's day job video, day job killer. Okay, like Matt showed me this World of Warcraft video about an addictive kid. I have it on my own server because I'm generating my own traffic. And even if I was showing it to Matt sitting here today because we were taking a break, I would only be showing him my own video because it's literally driving page rank even when I'm playing around on my break. That's the difference between me and the rest of the world. I'm not going to even have any fun. There is no day job killer video for me. There's only my traffic all the time in every instance. You've got to own the context. And if not, that sneaking feeling like you're getting screwed over, or you're wasting your time, or somebody else is getting paid off of your distraction,
You got to listen to that.
you're right. If you're not getting paid, at least when I go to my day job killers and I look at World of Warcraft Kid, Smart Off Kid, it's on my own channel, you know? And even though that channel is still a WRS2, it's owned by YouTube, it's better than driving traffic to some other guy's ad exchange that he's having with them. So even your day job killer should be yours. And if you're really good, you'll take that day job killer on your YouTube video or for your client's video, and you'll have it also embedded on a blog somewhere so that you're driving the page rank that you get from the traffic of that YouTube video to that blog. I have a video that's got almost 1.5 million views that was accidental. It's got a page rank 5. I'm driving that page rank to a traffic from my spouse's topical theme. Okay, so I'm just kind of walking you through this so we can look at this. Very few people have seen this chart, that's why. Now, it's more work to do this. Think about this. Incomplete headlines for social status updates. When you drive someone to a page where the information is incomplete, that makes them want more of you. You had to create that landing page. You had to not forget to put the autoresponder in there. You had to not forget to put the Facebook Connect or G+ Instant Gmail, like email extractor on there. It's work. And people don't like to do it. They just want the result of showing their friend, hey, oh, this is so cool, you're cool. Yeah, it's cool. And I'm making money when you think it's cool, right? And sometimes you just gotta show stuff, right? But if people really knew, Sue has a way of saying it, don't tweet out anything that you haven't created an article on. I believe this, if you're using Twitter to tweet out other people's stuff, you're completely missing a domain web studio system and what I call the premium content syndication module. Never tweet anything other than the link pointing to your own stuff. And if you have something interesting to say about somebody else's stuff, curate it on that blog and then point to it. In other words, it wasn't really worth saying. You're pretending it is because Twitter gives the illusion that it is worth saying. It's not.
Gives you a feeling of doing something.
It's dopamine.
If you're gonna do something,
Yeah.
send it back home.
Yeah.
Then it can go from your home
That's right.
after visited to everyone.
And you know what a great filter to determine whether or not you're just wasting your time is? Whether you have the time to actually put it on your blog. It's a great self-audit. You don't need getting things done anymore when you use that system. And that's an amazing thing. Because getting things done and all that is designed to help you not get distracted with social media. Well, the best way to not get distracted by social media is saying, okay, how much do you really like this link you're about to tweet out, Mr. Distracted? Do you like it enough? Is it important enough to your business, and can it make you money enough to actually put it on a blog post and then tweet it? Then you know you're getting somewhere. And I discovered that I cut my distraction time down by 90% just by that one fact. I only curate stuff that my members care about, and that I care about for my members. You know, it's really powerful, but it's harder to do. That's why people don't like it. If I told you that you can never Twitter anybody else's link out again that points to anybody other than your own property, your Twitter tweets would drop by half. Many people's would. I don't know about yours. Okay, so that's the hardest addiction that I have to break people of is Twittering out stuff. It's useless. Okay, so here's incomplete. Here's other things that are incomplete that are informative. White paper, free reports, email autoresponder series, cliffhanger expert YouTube video series. We call this the video ATM in the Brendan Richard Experts Academy. Okay, he's just calling it whatever he wants to call it. The fact is that we've been doing this for years.
Yeah, that four video approach.
Yeah, it's a video ATM. It's a squeeze page followed daisy change with a squeeze page with this. It's interesting but incomplete, and it's generating value where there was none before, and it's congruent with how they found you. Brendan Richard would never be promoting his stuff in an environment that wasn't congruent with what he was doing because he knows it's a waste of time. Incomplete. Sneak peek blog posts, members only, and DAP, this is a code that is, you know, blah, 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 and in summary, it's really important that you know, subscribe here. That's my favorite method of doing it. That's what DAP is so good for. It's an interesting but incomplete content. You gotta be careful because people expect free, and the line has been drawn in the sand where everybody expects free.
The freemium model.
Yeah, especially in your market with the green stuff, you're not gonna be able to get the liberal market and the democratic, neoliberal kind of energy community. They're very much into social sharing and very much into a digital Maoist approach to content. So it's going to take a lot more for them to give up something because they expect a lot more for free. The Berkeley group, they really do. I mean, in fact, my children's generation is going to be harder and harder to generate value for them because they're getting so good at finding content for free, and you better be really sure that you've got that value. And in the members area, we give you the 5 things that people will always pay for online. And that was true 5 years ago, and that's going to be true 5 years from now. And you've got to know those 5 things. Okay, I can go over those if you want. But incomplete. Complete. This is where people lose money. This is where the money is. This is where it's not. A full expert blog post where you sit down all day and wonder where your time went, and you told everybody everything that you need to know. You might have Google Little Analytics on there, but you haven't even got an Aweber post on there, or maybe you do. I'm not saying that you can't do the occasional flagship article. I'm just saying that there's people that I know, for example, a friend of mine who's a client now in the sauna, infrared sauna business. She's writing a flagship article every 2 days and wondering why she's not making any sales. Okay, she does make sales from that process, but it's not directly associated with sales. It can't be directly tracked. So your traffic spike goes up, and if she remembers to email that out, that's good. But in that email, she's got to drive them to an action.
Because she's closing the loop too early.
Yeah, she gives them, it's like, you know, letting everybody go to their peak experience, and then they're done. Now, the thing is that, just like you were saying about, you know, SEO Moz and how he's writing an article per day and all that, that is a strategy. If you're a prolific writer, you can go out and do that. But remember, there's a cost to that.
Yes.
A lot of the time,
Energy and time.
yeah, but you can increase your value by not, they call it the open kimono. You know, just open the kimono a little bit. And I'm going to do this here, and we might remove it because this is heavy neuromarketing. A research project was done by a group at Emory University that was related to Dr. Burns. They discovered that pornography that reveals partial unclad women was more addictive and more attractive and more long-term sustainable to men than pornography that was just full, everything revealed right up front too soon. And in other words, their attention was much longer for a much longer period of time when you leave the loop open just a little bit. Okay, full nudity and full whatever is not as helpful because it's complete. You don't want complete. And the reason I say this is because I've read some of the papers from the adult industry, and again, this is very important to them because you're dealing with complete at the level of the sexual emotional brain. Okay, so this is very important. Wikipedia and Wikiserias. People sitting around on Wikipedia, I've never understood it. They're addicted to writing updates to Wikipedia. They do it for free, out of the goodness of their heart. It's amazing to me. And I'm glad that we have Wikipedia, and I'm glad that there's people out there that want to do that. I don't know exactly how they earn a living.
Share your knowledge without asking anything in return.
It's so wonderful. I mean, this is true socialism. I mean, it's true. I'm not speaking against it. But for me, I'm going to launch my own wiki, which we did, themesandglossary.com. And when I write content on there, it's going to be my own platform. And I'm going to redirect people to a location that has money through the monetization model. So, Matt, can you scroll down? I'm not telling you that complete is bad. I'm telling you that it's monetization. So if I'm going to create a wiki like themesandglossary.com, it's not going to be on the wiki platform where I'm putting my definitions and editing all day, and I look up at the clock and 5 hours are gone, but I've, wow, created a wonderful post for humanity. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that that better be in a business model. So I'm going to monetize my Wikipedia entries and drive them to Domain Web Studio, to things that make my partners and myself money. Complete factoid blog post, where I write this gigantic blog post. Same thing. If I do that, just know that it's not, you got to use your golden frame. Okay, only do this stuff if you've got a really awesome golden frame and you're willing to invest that content into getting people click on your banners, your widgets from Widgetbox or wherever. It's great if you got a golden frame or a call to action on that. Then you can afford to do this. But remember, this is way more expensive than the stuff up here, in the long run. People are lazy. They don't want to provide complete lead capturing processes. But it's more costly to not do it because it takes a lot of money to create monetization environments.
That's what creates that classic term I told Ross about called IT debt. Your resources are being consumed, but it's creating debt because it's costing you.
Yes.
But you've got nothing in place to pay off the debt.
Yes.
Which is at the top of the chart that Russell's
Complete.
demonstrated.
It's much easier to just be complete and tell me what you're selling. What are you selling? How much does it cost? What's in it for me? And why should I believe you? It's easier to go to SlideRocket, create a slideshow, make a video, sell the thing itself directly. I like to have that stuff in place first before I start doing this. Okay? If I'm very honest with you, I can't tell Sue or Matt precisely what my IT debt and my conversion rate or my value is for creating this wiki site. I know it confers traffic. I can look at my traffic stats and this traffic is up. I don't have any action funnels yet set to it. But we know it works because we know it gives an air of authority. But I can't say, Sue, this wiki is worth this. I know how much it costs, and it's pretty expensive to set up. And I look at the hours of time I spent on it. I can't justify it directly. And so this is not the first thing you should do. But what people do is they do this first, and they think they're going to make money. Or they have a complete expert blog post before they actually know what they're selling and have their squeeze pages up. And they do it exactly backwards. Another thing people do is they do an expert, I see this all the time, they do a complete expert YouTube video series and give away all of it, full frontal, full Monty. There it is, everything. Okay, great, well thank you.
See you later.
I'm going to follow you. Twitter, I will, I'll follow them. Maybe a year from now I might come back. There's people whose video series have been great, come back. Brendan Richard will do the exact opposite. He'll go do a video ATM. He'll give you 2, 3, 4, and then just when you're all worked up with that giant open loop, he'll leave the most important thing out. I don't consider that a gimmick. I consider that survival. Don't give all of your gold away. And you know what? It takes time for people to learn this. #1 New York best time sellers of the book called The Moral Landscape, Sam Harris, a friend of mine. It's been #1 on that for several weeks. Wrote a scathing, crying, upset post on his blog about, as an author, blogging is killing him. And then I go to his blog. He's a professional writer with some of the best material in the world in neuroscience. Of course, I go to his blog, and they're 6 pages long with a full revelation on things in science, right? And he tried to write an Amazon book that's $1.97. You know, and like 3 people complained to him about, I expect this content to be free, because he set up a precedent. Here's one of the smartest neuroscientists in the history of the world who realizes what we talk about here. And it's taken him a moment to figure out that he's interesting and complete. And he's a New York Times best-selling author. So I just
You
want
need to be interesting and incomplete.
I wrote an email and said, my friend, yes, I bow at your feet. You are probably one of the most intelligent human beings that ever walked the face of the planet. But you really got to get your head screwed on straight. You need to be interesting and income. And I told him, I said, Sam, you had 3 people write back and say that your $1.97 Amazon Kindle book called Lying, it's the neuroscience of lying, why everybody lies. They were mad at you because they thought they should get it for free in your blog. Because they're used to either buying a $25 book from you or getting it for free. If you had a blog membership site that you charged me $4 for, or you created some kind of value because of who you are, I would be very interested in it. You had a neuromarketing section, I would read everything that you published, I would subscribe. That's me. And a lot of other people would too. But you have to make it interesting, but
Complete.
okay, so I think I beat the dead horse. This is very important to my life. The reason I'm passionate about it and for my users is because there are too many lies out there in the world about this right now. The AdSense empire mindset is still out there, which is a monetization mindset. I got an idea. Let's put up 500 websites, 400 blogs, toss AdSense on all of them, manage them all, and get rich. I'm not saying you can't do that, but if you're a beginner or intermediate, that is actually the slowest possible way for you to make money. Unless you're working with somebody like Matt or Sue, and we're building networks left and right, and you have an IT staff working on it, I'm finding that most people, unless they're really, really tricky, can't earn a living doing AdSense and doing monetized banners, or even CPA networks. Okay. So if you have your own content, you're an author, make it interesting but incomplete, and make sure you put all of this in the right places. So what I would say is that you can be complete on a wiki, you can be complete on a Factoid blog, you can be complete if you're writing a book on Amazon, and Amazon authors are going broke. Amazon authors without a social media presence and without all kinds of other marketing threading tied to that, it's one of the fastest ways to not make money is to write a great book.
I got one right now.
Okay, and you're dealing with that. And what you might want to do if you're watching this and you're writing a book is start thinking of a book as a really expensive business card, okay, and drive them to a sustainable income. So all of this is related to our painkiller article method, because painkiller articles are interesting but incomplete. And if you publish those articles in the right location, then you can actually get the transaction, which will lead to sale. Then you can direct sale. So all this is about the appropriate place of indirect selling, so that you can then convert those people into leads who can then be sold to directly. Painkiller article method is what you should use for all of these quadrants. And the way that you chop up those painkiller articles is going to depend upon where you're sending the message to. Okay? All right. Cool. So that is the ADNA and the VDNA. That is step 4 and 5 on step 4. And Sue, where do you want to go from here?
Should we do one?
A painkiller article?
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you want to create a painkiller article, I think we should probably do one for his market.
Yes.